And I'm using the Lenovo mic.
Okay.
And you were absolutely right. There is a um, internet connection on the left side. I had too many irons in the fire, and there was another machine that I had just acquired. It's a Dell laptop that has no internet connection, and I got them confused. But so I'm now on hard wire, and I didn't have any trouble staying connected with Huey's meeting the other day. So it may just be that the Wi-Fi is rather flaky because that's what happened the previous Sunday.
What's the status of your fiber Wi-Fi in your neighborhood? Have they repaired the break yet?
I believe they have. It's on the street that's perpendicular to mine. They came under that road and made that connection, and they were starting to work near my house. And I said, I don't know why you're doing this because I don't have, CenturyLink anymore. I canceled it. And so they stopped, but nobody else on my street had it. It's just that I guess now they have it available if one of the 13 houses on this cul-de-sac street were to say, okay, they wanted it. I'm going to send there's a chat. To word out about amateur radio and said, well, yeah, the only thing is, it was like, what, June of 2083? I think it was until September 93, October 93. I was elected in then. I might have gone there. We used to have the AES. Here's Sean. Paul said he had something just at 7 o'clock. I heard some noise in the background, whether it was like a ham call or something else. So he said he'd be back in a few minutes. But did you happen to hear whether Huey is working on election duty or going to be coming?
I know he's a poll worker and early voting has started, but I don't know what his shifts are.
Right. I don't either. And I don't know how late they're open tonight, for example. I guess it might be 7.
7 p.m. I think is.
Yeah.
Early voting. Joyce took our early ballots up and turned them in at the Oviedo Aquatic Center. We normally turn them in at the library, but the library is still flooded.
Oh.
From Ian.
Hello, Sean.
Hey, Stan, how are you?
Very well. You?
Doing well.
Good.
Sorry to miss last month. Sounds
well,
like
we didn't really do it. We said we were going to. It was supposed to be raining. It wasn't raining. It was preparation for the hurricane, of course. So we had about 4 people, and after about 10 minutes, we decided we'd
Yeah.
let it go under.
Interestingly, I was the only effect that we had from the hurricane was our internet was out for about 3 days. And it was impossible getting a hold of Bright House. They just had a rubber stamp on their website that we know there's a problem. But I was out raking the leaves in our front yard today because they finally came after 4 weeks and picked up the debris from the hurricane, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I mean, there wasn't a lot of it. So I'm out there raking, and this guy walks by and he says, "Are you Mr. Kane?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I'm, Adam with, I don't know his real name, Adam with Spectrum. And we're just canvassing the neighborhood to make sure people are happy or taking a survey, whatever." And he said, "How do you like your service?" And I said, "Well, I have gigabit service and I only get 40 up. And I don't understand why it can't be symmetrical." And he said, "Oh, well, I'll take that back to my manager." "Oh, okay." And he said, "Anything else?" And I said, "Well, our neighbors next door did not lose internet, and they had AT&T. And I did during the storm. I was out for about 3 days." And he said, "Oh, okay. Did you try contacting anyone about that?" And I said, "Well, I'm thinking about contacting AT&T." So he took that on his little notebook as well. So I'm pretty over. That was they buried the cables for AT&T, and I think that may have been why they didn't lose the internet, and we did.
Well, not only are the cables buried, but they're fiber optic.
Right. Well, yeah, it's AT&T fiber.
Whereas cable is still cable. It still requires the amplifiers and all the rest of the infrastructure to keep it going.
Well, they're fiber optic cables. They're fiber optic.
On Spectrum?
No, with
Yeah.
AT&T has fiber optic cable.
Right,
Our
right.
neighbor.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Yeah.
We got it last spring.
Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking of turning my T-Mobile 5G hotspot back in. I got it in December last year, if I remember correctly. And I have not had the need to use it since I went to AT&T because I've had continuous AT&T connection since they installed it.
Hello, Ken.
Hey, just Stan. Is there a tech meeting tonight?
Yeah, we're
The only thing is that T-Mobile has all these great incentives for add-on TV channels, regardless of how you stream it. So I have Paramount Plus for a year for 99 cents a month. And that's a T-Mobile special offer. So if I go ahead and terminate my T-Mobile, that Paramount Plus offer will go away.
Well, what if you get like Walmart Plus? Doesn't that come with Paramount Plus?
Oh, there's all kinds of different offers I can get, different streaming offers.
Well, and my point is, you could get something that you want, or that would be more, you'd use more,
Yeah.
right?
No, I just took advantage of that. I think there was one or two others that were of a similar nature. They were special T-Mobile offers. Every month they're sending specials in. So, but it's just a way to, it's $50 a month insurance, which I haven't needed. And we've gone through 90% of hurricane season. There's still a couple of storms that may pop up over the next 2 or 3 weeks. But
Right.
it was a real test for me. I wanted to see if AT&T fiber stayed up the entire time that Ian was here, and it did.
Good. And your power did as well, apparently.
Power fluctuated a little bit, but it didn't fluctuate enough for my generator. there were other areas around here that did lose power. And there's a real good friend in one of our social groups who lives in Tuscaloosa, very near Howell Creek. And they've never had it flood in the past, not as long as he's been in this house.
Right.
Well, guess what? It flooded. And his damage is so bad, they can't occupy the house.
Wow.
And FEMA, I guess, is reimbursing him for his expenses at a community that has agreed to lease him a room, he and his wife a room. And the stuff he was able to get out of his house that wasn't water damaged is in a storage unit. And he told me today that it's going to be at least 9 months to a year before the house will be reconstructed such that they can move back in.
Wow.
But since 2004, it never flooded. Did this time.
Well, I was out of power and internet and all kinds of phone. I have a landline that went out. Of course, I was with Spectrum, and cell phone service ceased. So we were just basically in the dark, except for my little battery operated lantern.
What, so you had Spectrum internet, who do you have your cell phone with?
Spectrum internet, cell phone is with Verizon.
Power with Duke or Florida Power?
Florida Power. And we were out for everything was out for about 36 hours, but after about 36 hours, everything came back on.
Oh, you guys talking about the outages during the hurricane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a survey on my neighbors on Nextdoor about cellular service and cable service, because personally I was in the dark completely for at least 2 days without any form of communication whatsoever. Personally, I remedied that, I think, or I hope, by adding a second cellular plan to my cell phone so that I can activate in case of an emergency. So I'll have at least 2 cell providers that I can communicate over. One wasn't enough.
So one of your 2 cell providers dropped, Drew?
Well, cellular. My primary provider is a subsidiary of Verizon called Visible, and they went off the air completely. I could make phone calls, but I could not text. I could not use the internet. I couldn't use any apps, and I had no Comcast cable service, even though I had electricity. So I had electric. I just had no means of communicating with the outside world. What I did is I learned that my cell phone is capable of holding not just a SIM card, but also an eSIM card. Like a lot of newer phones today run on eSIMs rather than physical SIM cards. And I went to a local AT&T store and bought a 30-day prepaid SIM card for trial purposes, just to see how the service worked in comparison to. I did this immediately after the hurricane while I had no Comcast service, and I got much better bandwidth for downloading over AT&T than I did over Verizon at my house. The application speed test that you can get on your phone has a map that shows you where each of the providers has coverage over your GPS location. And according to their maps, AT&T has a 5G signal and I don't in Verizon. And in the real world, when I have both Verizon and AT&T active on my phone, and I can choose one to be the data plan and flip them back and forth without even rebooting the phone. And I get a weak 4G signal with Verizon But if I walk down the street, I can get a 5G signal with Verizon. But personally, in my home, I only get a 5G signal from AT&T. And tethered to my computer, I was able to get about 120 megs down on my Windows computer, which was plenty for the house, during the outage. But for hurricane purposes, I highly recommend everybody, think about an alternate internet connection if their primary ones go down. Doesn't cost anything to have a backup plan for cellular. You don't have to keep it paid for. You just have to know what you're going to pay for when the time arises that you're going to implement it.
But that depends, that forces you to have power. And if you don't have power, that doesn't work too well.
Well, if you do have power, then you want to have an option to use if you have it. If you don't have power, even on the cell phone itself, I would have been able to at least look at the weather report, see mapping data, communicate with friends and family on the phone itself, if I had an alternate SIM card to switch to at the time.
I've also used a supplemental battery for my cell phone. And
Yes.
that will recharge the phone from nothing to full charge in relatively short period of time and for several charges.
Well, what I do and recommend is I have a small APC UPS battery attached to my router and cable modem and network gear in my home. And that has a small lead acid battery in it that can charge a cell phone or a tablet, multiple times without needing to buy one of those little tiny ones that only charges your cell phone once or twice. Can't seem to get my camera to, I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but I can't see myself.
No, it's black.
Yeah, I don't know. I probably need to reboot to get it fixed. My video is on, it's not showing.
It
Check,
does show that it's on, but we are not seeing you.
check your video
Oh,
source and Zoom.
You know what? I have another video capture program running right now that's got my camera.
There you go.
By the way, there was a attendee who signed in as, where is it here? WHO. And I sent him a text saying, please change your name into your actual name. Who are you? And he left. So,
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, there are trolls out there.
We were very lucky in Lake of the Woods at 533 homes. About 10 of them got about a foot of water and lost a lot of furniture and all. We're very fortunate. I believe we're the highest home, and we're 5 feet above the street, so we had no problem with that. I lost power the day before for about 4 minutes, but my UPS kept the computer and everything and the printer and all going. And other than that, I had the rest of the time and all through the hurricane, I had everything full power, full cable, everything, full internet, everything, T-Mobile, cell phone worked, everything worked. We're very fortunate.
Hey, I got
There we go.
an interesting story. Well, since we cut this TechSIG short last time, we didn't do much. I was going to save a few stories, but I actually forgot them already. But I got so many new ones, and I got a really interesting computer story. But on the power thing with the hurricane, I didn't lose. I got acreage, and going through Francis and Charlie, I get water in my pasture and some water in my backyard and in my front yard. But so I'm kind of like a moat around me. We got a lot of water this time, but nothing comes near the house. And it took a day or two before I could even walk out to the barn. And then I'm just at the end of cleaning stuff up right now. I'm doing a lot faster than I anticipated, which is another story I'm not getting into now. But the power, a day or two 2 days after the hurricane, and we didn't lose internet or power, but 2 days after the hurricane, I noticed that the lights were going bright and dim, and the exhaust fan on the stove was going higher and lower. And when I was in the bathroom, the guest bathroom has got like two separate rooms. And when I have the light on in the toilet room, which is like right there, right? And I turn on the hair dryer in the room where there's mirrors, the fan goes higher or lower, and the lights too. And all these weird things were happening. So I said, this is kind of like, I measured the voltage and it was low. And then it was moving all around the place, the 110 volts, 117. And then when I measured the 220, which mine is usually 245, it was like just floating all around. So I put in a ticket. This is like a 4-day story, but I put in a ticket. They didn't come. I called back.
Hey, Paul,
Yeah,
we don't have 4 days.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
Accelerated the ticket, and finally I got a supervisor in Sanford who I explained what was to, and he got me guys over here. This is like 4 in the afternoon. He got guys over here in like an hour and a half. And what had happened is that it ripped the power pole from the house, away from the house, along with the strain relief, ripped it right out of the house, and it broke the neutral. So I got all of these pictures of the guy. They had the bucket truck right in my driveway. My driveway is like over 100 feet long. They had the bucket truck there, and he maneuvered this thing like he put the neutral back together, which was about 50 feet from the house, on the top of a telephone pole on my property. I got 5 acres, so I got 3 telephone poles on my property before the transformer. I get to the transformer. So, and then he put the utility pole back on the house with a couple of bolts. He says, "You got to do the rest. I'm not supposed to do that, but I'll put that on for you." So it was a broken neutral. And a lot of really weird things were happening for like 5 days with power. Thank God, nothing blew up. Like, appliances don't like bad power. Motors don't like, refrigerator motors don't like low power. So anyway, they fixed it, and I fixed the rest of the power pole myself. So that's my power problem, my power story.
Tom Alt, it looks like the hurricanes left you upside down. Your video's upside down. And your microphone is muted.
Who is that, Mike?
Tom Alt, he's upside down,
Oh,
hanging from the
didn't know.
ceiling.
I didn't know he was here. You must have admitted him. Yeah.
And Tom, we can't hear you because your microphone's muted. Unmute.
And hello, Ken. Glad you made it. And you're muted as well, but that's fine. My power story is very brief. We're on the same circuit as a Publix, and across the pond that we live on, our neighbors. One time we had no loss of power. They were out for 3 days, and so this time it worked again with one flicker, but that was it. And my T-Mobile 5G stayed fine, so we had no disruption. A lot of branches and leaves and litter, that kind of thing. But and the water came up onto closer to our house than it has usually, but no incursion, so we're good. Well, anybody else have some storm stories, or should we get started with the actual presentations?
Might as well go around.
Who would like to start?
I can go first.
Okay.
This kind of relates to the storm. the result is changing my email provider. So I've used my own mail server here for about 17 years in my home. And that was one of the reasons I haven't switched from Spectrum to another service. Spectrum doesn't block port 25 or any ports that I know of. So I was able to run my mail server and not have any real issues. But of course, the storm comes along and I'm pretty much out of business for 3 days with regards to internet. So I decided, and I'd been thinking about switching my mail hosting to an online provider. The two big ones are Microsoft and Google. And I have experience with Microsoft. I manage 3 businesses now with their Microsoft email. I'm an administrator on there. And with Microsoft, you can't have catch-all addresses. And a catch-all address is where you can, when you put anything before the @ symbol in an email address, it doesn't matter if it's a real email address. If you have a catch-all set up, it will still funnel to a designated real email address. And I use that, and that's how I control spam. That's one of the reasons I had my own mail server. So I knew a friend of mine who works for Apple who has his own family account on Google. And I asked him if that was something that was possible on Google. And he said it is, and he uses that. So I went ahead and set up a test. One of my domains is a test on Gmail. And then I went ahead and switched over my primary email domain, SeanKane.net, over to Google. And it is great. I'm very happy with it. It's $6 per month per email address. But I only have one email address for me, one for my wife. And I can have that catch-all situation. So I can have unlimited kind of you can have aliases too, but this is unlimited email addresses with the catch-all. So I'm very happy with it. And I can also have secondary domains that I don't actually pay for. It's just, I can receive email in and it gets funneled from that secondary domain to my primary domain. So I don't know if anybody here hosts their own mail or has their own domain, but I know Huey does. But I've been very happy and impressed with the Google administrative tool. So
I just don't want to funnel my email through Google, through their AI primarily.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think anybody's getting any kicks out of reading what I write, but the point is, Google has the ability, should they care to use it, just like NSA, to screen every word of every email that goes through their servers, and then get the metadata of the messages that go through. And then if properly subpoenaed, or for any other reason that corporate wants, to actually search for topics that people are writing about. So I used to have Gmail. I don't use it except for the fact that I have to have a Google account on my Android phone. But I don't use Google at all, just for that reason. Their services are great. You know, their offers of free stuff are great, but that's what sucks people in to use their services.
Okay. I'm very happy with them, and the customization and the ability to do exactly what I want works fine. So yeah, and there's no ads. This is not your regular Gmail. This is actually hosting a domain with Google servers. And by the way, you're probably using Google on things that you don't even realize it, because they are like AWS, where they have companies can host their content on Google servers, just like they can do it on Amazon servers or Microsoft servers in the background, and you'll never know. So anyway, I'm not worried about that myself. And I know you are, Mike, you've mentioned that several times, but yeah, it's worked out really well. So I have I have that server that I was talking about downstairs in my closet, and I still have
They
that
took
up and
away. Sorry.
running, because I have a couple of friends, a family that I was also hosting their mail, and I'm waiting for them to. I've already explained that I want to shut that down, so I'm waiting for them to come back to me. I've got another year on that license, so but after a year's up, I'm going to shut that mail server down, and it'll give me the flexibility to go with another service or whatnot. And during the storm, by the way, I did have internet. We used our cell phones, and we were able to, that Wednesday was a wash, or was it Thursday? Wednesday. We just all sat around and waited for as the wind blew. So we did lose internet on our Spectrum, but we used the hotspots on our phones, and we connected our Roku to our phone, and we were able to watch, Netflix and so forth. So it was pretty much just a binge watch day. We couldn't go outside and play. So anyway, so that's been my main thing over the past month, is getting that. I switched over my account, my wife's account, and my dad's account to the Google servers. So I think that's it for me.
Thank you.
Sure.
Who's next?
Just a short comment. I've been working on a lot of different projects, doing some stuff for Tech for Seniors. Monday, be talking, starting a new series talking about electric vehicles, if anybody's interested in electric cars. But the friend who I mentioned who had a flood at his home, his computer at least was off the first floor level and did not get soaked with water. But in the small room that he's living in for the next year or so, he really doesn't want his desktop computer and his monitor and his printer and all the rest of that taking up the only desk space in the room. So he asked me for some recommendations on notebooks, and basically I searched Amazon, I searched Best Buy, and I searched Costco for notebooks, and 15-inch screen notebooks in the $450 to $650 price range, with the requirement that it have a modern either AMD or Intel processor, the latest chip versions, that it have at least a 500 gigabyte SSD and have at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. And he settled on a gateway from Costco, and he just brought it over to my house and said, "Here, please set it up for me." So I've been playing with that for the last 24 hours. My first real exposure to Windows 7. It was interesting because most new computers that I have set up, regardless of what the operating system is, usually the manufacturer has its own routines for the initial setup of Windows on the computer. And it goes through, welcome to Dell, for example. And we're happy to have you in our community. Please register here, etc. And you go through a whole Dell setup, which also includes the Windows setup. This gateway computer had nothing related to gateway whatsoever on it other than the background. Instead of getting that multi-flower purple arrangement, had a great big farm scene with a gateway cow in the corner. But no gateway software on it at all, not even stored on the C drive, which there wasn't even a folder for it. So I guess his registration will be through Costco and through maybe going to gateway.com and filling out the registration form. Very unusual. No support software, nothing that's related to the computer itself. And the setup for
Gateway was bought by Acer, was it not?
I don't know who owns it now.
I think it's Acer, but are you saying it came with Windows 7 on it?
No. It came with Windows 11.
I thought you said.
It's my first Windows 11 setup, or for that matter.
He did say 7.
Did I say 7? I
He said
apologize.
Windows 7, yeah.
Okay, well, wires crossed up here. No, it's
Okay.
first Windows 11 setup that I've done. But the only change I made was to move the tray to the left because he's used to seeing it there. But other than that, we just went through all the usual setup and the same things that Microsoft has done since day one, like not showing extensions on known file types. That's still a default setting in Windows, which I didn't really notice until I started looking at the file managers. Where'd all the extensions go? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Microsoft for some reason thinks people don't need to have extensions on their files.
Was it Windows Home or Pro?
Home.
And did you have to sign in with a Microsoft account, or were you able to get around that?
He had a Microsoft account on his previous desktop. So he brought that over to me from storage so that I could get his data off of it. And I just looked up what his account was. And he gave me his password. So when I put the account password in, it recognized him and said, "Do you want us to transfer the settings?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And so that may have helped with the setup. I didn't notice much in terms of anything special. Maybe it's privacy settings, things like that.
How much was it?
I think it was $449.95, something along those lines. Down, it was about $150 off its normal price.
And it was a laptop?
Yeah, Gateway. The case is sort of a dark blue or light purple case. So not
what's
really
your-
a heavyweight. It does actually have the numeric keyboard on the right side of the keyboard too, which is unusual for a notebook.
What's the what's your overall impression of Windows 11?
Since I didn't get into all the inner workings, it was as transparent to me as Windows 10 is now. I'm sure there's other things going on. Huey certainly talked a lot about all the unique things that happens with Windows 11. But from a standpoint of a user, not really focused in on gee whiz stuff, other than noticing that the tray was centered, which I just moved over to the left to make it the way it was before. It pretty much operates the way Windows 10 does.
Yeah.
Isn't Gateway the one that none of their cords or fittings would fit in the other computers years ago?
In the desktops, I do remember that a lot of them had unique
Yeah.
structure inside. Yeah. Murray's got his hand up.
Yeah, I just was noticing I've been having a little bit of funny problems with when my Windows 11, the copy and paste isn't working properly. I have a raw, I don't know exactly what is going on, but for example, if you use the copy and paste up at the top, it just doesn't go. I have to do, I don't know, I guess go right click on it and go down to more options and find the copy down there to get it to go. And some things, like I was at a meeting this morning and I tried to select all the chat stuff in the Zoom meeting and copy and paste it. I couldn't get it to paste into Notepad or WordPad or anything. I don't know what's going on with it. I've probably got the very latest update, and it's probably something broken in the latest update, I suppose.
I was doing some of that. My friend is not good at organizing his data. And typically, if he downloads something, everything went into his downloads folder. So I just asked him, I said, if I sort everything by the type of file, do you want me to take all your documents and PDF and spreadsheets and so on and put them into documents, and take all your graphics, your JPEGs and your PNGs and so on and put them into pictures, etc. He said, sure, go ahead. So I was doing a whole bunch of copying and pasting, and I didn't notice that I had any problems doing it.
Well, I never had any problems up until today, actually. And I have restarted the computer and, but I don't really know what's going on with it. But anyway, that's about the only thing that I've been fooling with. I've got all kinds of stuff I'm trying to do and I'm trying to figure out how to do. But I guess my latest one is I've got a new Apple Watch. And I was trying to figure out how to transfer all the stuff like my history of heart rate and blood oxygen and all that to the computer, but I haven't quite figured that out yet.
And with an Apple Watch, you're connected through your iPhone, correct?
Yeah, right.
And then do you also have an Apple computer?
Yes.
And does that provide seamless connections then to your Apple computer such that you could manipulate data using
Well,
the Mac?
in the phone is supposed to be able to do it. It's just that I haven't really figured, I've never had a smartwatch before. I haven't really figured out how to do it yet. I'm not used to having to charge a watch every day. And I'm not used to wearing the watch at night, which is what you're really supposed to do. And I always used to take the watch off at night. And of course, I didn't have to charge it. The battery in my what they call, well, I guess it's a Casio wave scepter, which picks up a signal from Colorado every night to synchronize it. I probably don't have to change batteries in more often than once every 5 years. So it's hard to get used to a different way of doing things. Anyway, that's probably about all from me. And thank you for letting me join in on your meeting.
Okay, very good.
Back to you from me, Stan.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Who else would like to go? Who would like to go next?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I got my new iPhone 14 Pro and I just got it set up today. And they had a deal if I traded in my Apple 12 that they would give me $1,000 for my 12, and it was $1,100 for the 14, so it cost me $100 for. I got to spread that over the next 2 years, and they got a thing in the new Apple 14. It's called, I think, iDel or something. I'm not exactly sure how they pronounce it, but I use my phone to determine where boundary lines are on properties, and that's been a big improvement and works much better. In fact, I haven't done it myself, but I've seen it on YouTube where they set up surveying things and set stakes, and they can run from one stake to the next stake, and it's within 3 or 4 inches of where the surveying equipment was setting it. So I haven't really tested that out yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And when I first come on, I was upside down because for some reason I've got a scanner here, and the scanner was on, and I could see it was shining on some papers and stuff, but it wasn't coming out of my computer. I turned around with it where it was on me, and I was upside down. So that's why I was upside down. When all the electric and everything went out for about a week, I could just barely make phone calls, and my internet worked, but not very well. But it's come back to where almost everything's working from 100 to 250 down. And on my main computer where I got it plugged directly into my unit, I got 750 yesterday. I couldn't believe it, 50 up. So for someone who was getting 12 down and 0.9 up, I'm real happy with my new services.
You must live near a one of the T-Mobile towers.
I did, and right after the storm, you can see now it's shining on my knives. I've got a scanner here, and for some reason it's hooked to the scanner instead of the one on my computer for some reason. I don't know. Next time I'll have to unplug it so it goes the right direction. But I do live close, and when it first started up, I was getting like 50 down and maybe 10 up, and then it got to 100 down. most of my iPads and stuff usually get about 250 down and about 15 or 20 up. But I couldn't believe on the main computer where I plugged it directly into the unit, I was getting 750 down. I was so tickled. I never had 750 down before and 50 up. So it was working really great. And I think I told you last time I was on there when I was out traveling this summer, I was beside another trailer and he took his unit and they told him he'd have to turn it in when he was traveling. But when he went to turn it in, the guy said, well, just keep it and see how it works. And he was all over the east and northeast. I mean, he's a full-time traveler and he's fifth wheel. And he said he's got 5 different units hooked to it. And he said everywhere he's been, he's had really good internet. So that encourages me. I never take mine with me. So next time I go on a trip, I'm going to take mine with me and see if it works that good everywhere.
That's your T-Mobile 5G hotspot?
Yeah, my T-Mobile. Thanks a lot. You talked me in. Well, you come out and showed me that it would work there, and they told me I couldn't get it. When I told them I had to have it, they said, "Well, we'll give it to you, but if it don't work, bring it back." And it's worked fantastic ever since. I was so tickled to get rid of uh, the outfit I had, which I was paying $65 for 12 down and 0.5 up. So, and as what you said, I was out to a little town north of here, and for some reason, I couldn't hardly get anything. I don't know why, but if you get way away from this tower, it don't seem to work very well. But fortunately, I'm close to the tower, and right after the storm, everything was really slow and not working very well. But after about a week, it started coming up until it's really going fast now. So I was gone this summer, and the time I was gone, when I come back, they must did some upgrades because it got lost faster when I got back. So if you're in an area where they have it, it's a good deal. And if you're not, I suppose it's not such a good deal, but I'm tickled with it.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
in the lower left corner of your Zoom window, there, if you move your mouse, you'll see at the bottom, it says stop video, but next to the camera, there's a little up arrow, like a tick mark.
Yeah.
If you click on that, you can, at the top there, you can switch what camera you're using.
Okay. It says unable to start video. You can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay.
Maybe if I unplugged that, it'd work properly. I don't know.
Try again, Tom.
You mean hit the start video?
Yep. Okay, we see your knives.
So you go back to that and see if you can see your other camera listed. The one with the check mark is the camera that's actually streaming. But there's other camera, there should be another camera listed there too.
I don't
I don't think I have any audio. Do I have audio?
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Oh, where are my background? Choose virtual background. Choose video filter. Select camera. ET13R is what's up there.
Do you only have one camera listed?
Yeah.
Oh, well, sorry.
Okay, I'll have to unplug it next time, or I could probably unplug it now, but it's behind my thing. So if you see all those wires, that's me. There's my knives. I was putting new blades in my knives. But I've been real happy with T-Mobile. When we traveled this summer, I had good reception everywhere except for when I was in Ohio. We went up to where the Amish lived, and my phone worked, but just barely, and I didn't have to use data. So everywhere else I streamed all my movies because I usually don't get much television reception. So I stream movies from all over the country with T-Mobile, and I almost got 5G everywhere I went. So
Cool.
I don't know. I was a Verizon customer for 20 years, and I'm really. I was worried that when I traveled, I would not be able to get as much reception, but Verizon, when I was in Ohio, wouldn't get good reception up there where I was at either. So maybe that's just an area that's not served so well. When you're traveling, if you stay to close to any main interstate, you always get real good service because they got all the major highways have towers close. But 750, I couldn't believe I got 750 down. That's something else.
Okay, KB4NE here.
Hey, anybody else going to the air show this weekend?
Where is it?
In Sanford.
No.
They're going to have the F-22.
What else do they have?
They got the Thunderbirds, F-22, but that's the only ones I want to see. I don't care about the rest of it. But it's Saturday and Sunday.
I wanted to ask you about. I've been to a couple of the air shows where they have the headsets to fly with. I mean, virtual, and I never got to get on them because they had such big lines. I didn't get in line. Have you done anything with that?
How about this?
Oh, okay.
You got what kind of computer have you got? What kind of video board? And what have you got? Microsoft 2020?
No, only thing I got's Apple anymore.
Okay.
I got a bunch of computers and laptops and everything here, and I'm deciding whether I should try to get rid of them or not because I haven't used them in so long.
Well, I
Most of them,
got a lot of those too. I've given most of them away. But this thing here, this is virtual reality, and I have Microsoft 2020, which Microsoft digitized the planet so that you actually can fly over your own house, see your cars down there in the driveway. It's a pretty good one here. I've got a better one I've ever hooked up. And I just wonder if you got a fairly good video board on one of your computers. I'll bring it over when you hook it up to yours. My office is too small to let somebody. I can have you through like Google Earth or something like that. That's pretty neat on Google Earth too. I've toured a lot of places that I never will be able to go.
I like
Europe and Asia, but in Flight Simulator, it's kind of uncanny how it works.
I'd like to know more about that, and I'd like to set it up.
Well, if you,
I'm getting the age that my wife is all upset about me flying anymore. So
one of the things you can fly just about any aircraft you can think of. I don't know if the F-22 is in there yet, but they got the F-18 and World War II stuff. They got the P-40 and Corsair, and some of these guys are really fight about how well it works. There's also, you might like Combat Flight Simulator. That you actually fly combat, and you can fly World War I, World War II, or any of the new jets against each other. There's some pretty fair YouTube on stuff like that, but we had to do that offline. The thing I was asked, that thing, Mike, that you bought that holds your cell phone. I forget what that name of it is. It's got a name. Do you ever use it? Let me get it out. Yeah.
You're talking about the 3-axis stabilizer for the cell phone?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one.
I still use it.
Okay. Well, I've not had a lot of luck with using it, but I'm going to take it out Sunday. See if I can record the F-18 or the F-22 at it. So
Take an extra battery pack. Take an extra battery pack if you've got one, because when it's on, it uses up a lot of current on the installed battery.
oh, okay. All right. And this thing has been really, I used it when I went to Gettysburg, and I have a monopole for my other camcorder, and I have a remote viewer, another TV that I use. I'm gonna put that way the hell up in the air, so I'm over the top of everything, and then I come down and I can see what is on the camera, what the camera's taking pictures down here. And this thing, I can't get it high enough. But if you're in a crowd, you don't want, sack the people's heads and stuff like that. But I'm going to try it. and it's got all the 4 modes on it, and it also zooms. I didn't think yours didn't zoom. Yours zoom.
The, at least the holder that I have comes with its own app,
Yeah, that's a
and you put the app on your phone, and then when you link it with Bluetooth, that gives you the zoom capability.
yeah.
Otherwise, you got to reach up and zoom the camera, which is not convenient.
This puts it on the screen where you can see it, and the zoom percentage and change the lenses. But my phone is only a f22 or something like that. It's not a very high end machine. Because I don't use it for pictures most of the time. I find although video, there's no reason why a phone can't take video pretty much almost as good as a camera. Pretty much. Pictures, they don't do anywhere near as well.
Has anybody used the 14 camera much? And
You mean what time?
on the iPhone 14, the camera is supposed to be really great, but I really haven't done anything with it yet. I've just had it a day or two.
Well, the video on just about any phone is pretty good. If you want better video, then you got to go to a real camera.
My videos were good on my 12. I just can't believe what they're going to be in my 14.
It mostly has to do with light. If you got a lens this big around, or you got one that big around, which one do you think gets the most light? And so it has, and also the lens are stabilized in the bigger cameras and things like that.
But I've zoomed out like 10
the
miles and taken really great pictures at 10 miles out.
Great, that's a good picture, but now expand that picture out till you're down to the dot level, and it won't be as good. I mean, that's just the way the camera works. It's a little camera with a little lens, and you can't expect it to perform like a big camera with a big lens. But that's not, as far as video is concerned, it's good enough. As far as still pictures, no one that I know of that even comes any close to a direct through or a reflex camera. I mean, they made reflexes, and that's where I stopped buying. So there's no reason to have a reflex camera if you're using a regular camera, to take pictures, because it doesn't make any difference whether you do a reflection or whether you do a direct onto the recorder, because you had to have a mirror, because you had to lift the mirror up out of the way to get to the emotion to take the picture and single lens reflex. You don't have that problem with electronics. So, but they can be 25 or 50 megapixels. Most of that decision is made by the computer in the camera, not by the lens, because the lens just ain't big enough. I mean, look at this takes a nice picture, but look at the lens size. Okay, and I got a lens on my size that big around. This doesn't work the same. But it doesn't make any difference if you're not trying to. If you're just taking pictures of the house, don't screw around with a heavy camera. It isn't worth it. And mine, not only does it take still pictures, it also is a video camera. It's the same thing. You got a hood you put on it, it stands out, and so forth. And mostly I did that because I had all these lenses. It's just a matter of preference, that's all. Unless you're trying to sell pictures, then I can take a picture with this thing, and I can make it pretty big. I can take a picture with the other camera, my other camera, and I can make it the size of your wall, and it won't fall apart. In fact, I can't show you this. I have a big picture of me and my wife by a cannon, me and my Civil War set. And it's actually made in 8 by 10 blocks, and you just put it up like a billboard, put it up at pieces to get all the pieces there. That works okay. But the nice thing is some people like that in their living rooms and stuff. The cameras are just cameras, and people are just people. And if it takes a picture you like, don't mess with it. If you're a photographer or a professional, you probably want something a little better, but not a lot. I had a picture of a bunch of hams, Paul. I had a bunch of guys had coffee at one of the local restaurants, and there were 16 of us in there. And they took a picture, and then 2 guys walked in later. We want to be in the picture, so I was able to do that. I got them in there, but it's a small camera, and but I was able to put the other 2 guys at the end of the table, Photoshop. I don't know if I got that or not, but anyhow, you guys go ahead. If I got it, I'll put it up. So you see the two pictures. And it's just something that you do. It's just, like I said, it has to do with what you prefer in your pictures and how much of a purist you want to be. And everybody knows Photoshop, like a lot of the software, ain't for everybody. You gotta, they got stuff now. You used to have to take color pictures. When you took a black and white picture and you want to make it color, you had to do it by hand. Not now. Software does it by its own. And you can even change the color. I haven't figured out how to put it in class yet, but that's coming. Just amazing amount of mathematics going on in your computer. And oh, by the way, if you don't like the way your computer does it, you can use theirs. Adobe sets it up so you can actually go up on their cloud. Their camera will do it and send it back to you. Their computer. Pretty nice. First, you got to rent Photoshop.
Oh, something I like to mention. I got a picture of my new iPhone there. I bought this case for $22, and it's got a magnet on the back. And they had a deal on sale for about $30, where when I'm sitting there watching TV at night, I can slap that up there, and it automatically charges my phone, my earbuds, and my watch all at the same time. So when I go to bed, I can put my watch back on and go to bed. And if I get up in the morning watching the news, I slap it on there and charge it up for the day, and it keeps everything charged up all the time. It's a pretty neat setup, and it don't take up much room because it's on a little stand. But that magnet on the so that where that little circle is where the magnet has, and it holds that phone on there really solid. So the phone goes on there, and there's a place for the watch on the back where you just lay the watch, and then there's a place for your earbuds if you use your earbuds. So that was a new product that I just purchased, and they're normally about 60 some dollars, and they had one on sale for $30. Probably not as fast as the one for 60, but it charges pretty good.
This is the picture, the original picture with all those hands lined up. And there's some way that I can show you the other one here. And here's the one with the two guys at the back of it. There's the two guys back there. And I was like, that's Photoshop. That works. But if you make the picture big, you can see it begins to fall apart pretty bad when it gets back down again. And but Paul, that's a hell of a group of guys. Just about every technical one you can think of in there. I'm the geek with techno guys. I know all the electronics. And so it's a lot of fun for me too, because I get all the trouble. And I love troubleshooting electronic gear. And anyhow, that was a Photoshop deal. And they have the pictures that I use. This is one of them here. This is one of the pictures that I use. What the heck is turn now? Anyhow, oh, here. There you go. That's one of the pictures. Of course, you only use a little piece of it and cut it out so that when you see him, he's up against the proper background and the table comes up in front of him. And here. Here. And again, cut it out, put the table up to here. And just put it right here. Don't you crank it all into place. There we are. So, put the guys in. I don't think that's Zoom. No, I can't Zoom. I thought I can, but I just don't know how.
Hey, Ken,
Yeah,
can you make your microphone any louder? You're really low.
I think I'm just about at the end. Let me see if I can make it any louder. I think I'm just about at the end. How's that? Any better?
No, not really.
One reason I went off the air was I tried to plug up. I had no audio. I couldn't talk, even though it worked when I ran the test. When I came online, it didn't work. And then when I tried to plug another microphone, it blew my computer offline. I won't plug that in again. So anyhow, I don't know what the heck happened. I'll have to run some tests offline and see what happens. Is it pretty bad?
It's just really low.
Is it this microphone? Hello, hello, this one?
Well, that's way better. Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay. This microphone, if I point it this way, maybe it'll be better. Is that better?
A little bit.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And anyhow, that's about all you can do with it. With Photoshop, like I say, you can do anything you can. You can put anybody, anywhere, doing anything, anytime. So, like to be in the pyramid, stuff like that. I can do that too. It's really fun. I got pictures of me and other airplanes. I don't know where they are. And you can, I do Civil War stuff. One of the things you used to have to do for people, when people would bring photographs of ancestors that collected pictures, and I would copy them and take the scratches out. And now Photoshop will do that for you. Just take scratches out, sharpen the picture, get rid of blemishes, watermarks, all automatically. Just have to know where to point.
You have to have the latest version of Photoshop to do that.
Yeah, sure do. It rents for about $150 a year. So it's, nothing. And they keep improving it. I subscribe to a couple of Photoshop guys that are experts. So every time they come out with a new change, they come out and explain how it works. There used to be problems with selection and stuff like that. Now, selecting those guys in those pictures and cutting them out and putting them in a different picture, that's all pretty easy now. It used to be much more difficult. And there used to be color leakage and things like that. It just doesn't occur. That's just Photoshop. That's why they don't allow photography in court anymore, because guys like me can do anything, and I can make it so you probably can't detect it. Because I can control right down to the dot. And if you got a 25 megapixel, I can control 1/25 millionth of it with Photoshop. It's just that big. It's amazing. But what's more amazing is you don't have to. You just kind of tell us what you want and figure it out. Just fun things to do. At my age, I only do fun things. I think I don't do as fun as doctors. So anyhow, that's it for today. So I'm going to try that thing out and see what happens this weekend. I'll report on it later. Then that's all I have.
Well, I'll chime in a little bit. I did have a good story. I'm still running. I got a Windows 7 and a Windows 10 computer. I'm going to make this real short. I'm not going to say the whole thing, but my Windows 7, my AOL Gold wouldn't open up. I had to get tech support. It was a disaster. I ended up repairing it myself. I will spare you all the details. I installed it, I fixed it, I brought my data for the AOL Gold back in, and which took some figuring out because I had to stop the background from running because it wouldn't let me insert the files in the program. But on telephones, I got a phone from my wife yesterday. We got a 13, and she had a 6, which she'd still probably have if the battery wasn't dying. I mean, it goes downhill like you can watch it just keep draining. So and so she needed a phone. So you know, I did shop around and looked at this. There were good deals on the 13. The 13 Max was too big for her hand, so she just got the 13, which actually has a bigger screen than the 8 because it's edge to edge. So you know, I went to the AT&T stores and Best Buy and the internet, and I did my research. He would not. He says, you know, don't do the transfer here. When I bought the phone, we went through everything. I had a pretty good sales guy, so I had to go home and do it. And I followed the instructions, and you know, there's a couple extra steps you can tell me about, but I guess I made the right choices because the phone is working and the internet's working, and I did the whole transfer. So that was a pretty good feeling that I didn't mess up. And then I had to pair it to her Subaru. Of course, you know, another phone I had to pair, so I had to watch the videos on how to do it. And I was successful on that. So she's back up and running, still learning how to swipe, because that's a whole new world. And but it's a 128 meg phone, which is plenty of room for her right now. We had a 64, but she never even filled that up. So she doesn't download videos. So we're doing good on the phones. And I got an iPhone 8, which is still working fine. It's very tempting for me to get a 13 right now. I'm thinking about it, but there were no two-for deals. I asked the AT&T guy if I could get a 2-for-1 or some kind of cost reduction, but he said no, it's individual items. So I guess they're clearing out the 13s, and but the 14 was a lot more money, and it just really wasn't necessary now. So she went from a 6 to a 13. So everything's good.
Hey, Paul, what were you saying about AOL?
Yeah, last week I opened up my AOL Gold and the program opened, and then it closed right down. And when I hit the icon, it just wouldn't open up. The AOL tech support had me delete the program and then reinstall it, and had the same problem. And then we did a bunch of other stuff, and there's a lot of details here which I won't even get into. But he ended up bailing on me actually. And what I ended up doing was I deleted the program again, and I went into the hard drive, and I guess AOL used to get a CD and install the program. Now the computer really acts as a remote monitor. There's really no program on the computer other than the software so it can communicate with the AOL servers. So the last thing I had on the computer was AOL 9. That's 9.7. That's the last stuff they had. So I just went into the hard drive and I deleted everything that's in AOL. 2 folders, and it took a while to delete the stuff because they were so large. And they went over to the recycle bin. They're still sitting in there because I didn't know if I really had to get it. I didn't think it had anything to do with the programming, but I thought it might have something to do with the problem. So I deleted all that stuff, the AOL, and then I went to my Windows 7 laptop. which didn't have the program on there. I said, okay, let me see if I can do this on another computer and be successful. If I can do that, then I've got a little bit of a track record that I know what I'm doing. So I went on my my old Windows 7 laptop, and I was successful in that. And then I went to the desktop and I deleted all that stuff. And then I pulled down the AOL program and I installed it and it worked. And then I had to get my data back into AOL, it took me a couple days to do that because I couldn't quite figure out how to do it. I was sitting thinking about it and I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't gutsy enough to do some of the things because, you guys are a lot smarter on computers than me. I'm more of an electronics guy, but I seem to muddle through most of my problems. So I made the correct choices and my logic was sound. And I went into Task Manager and I brought up the processes and I killed the process trees for everything with AOL in there. And then I was able to insert my data file in the program because it wouldn't let me do that before it says this program is busy. I don't know what the right word is, in motion, it's busy, it's being used, so wouldn't let me do anything. So it took me a day or two to think about it. I finally sorted it out. It took me about 2 or 3 days. So
That's amazing.
what's amazing, my skill or did I correct?
No, that you're using AOL Gold.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a reason I'm using it is because I've got a lot of save files for a lot of organizations that I do things with. And it's a data file. And without that, I can still get my email and everything, but I don't have all my saved stuff for all the things in all the file folders. I have maybe 10 file folders, for payments to people I pay. And I save that just in case, payments and other organizational events that I need to save. So I've been doing that for years. So I'm kind of like locked into that right now. I don't know how to get around it.
Well, so AOL has some kind of an archaic database that you're relying upon to store important things.
When I log into AOL through a browser, those
Yep.
files aren't there. So I'm kind of locked. If I want to use those files, I got to have the gold. I'd like to.
Is there a cost for that?
Yes, is the short answer. I've been paying AOL for a long time, and with that I get tech support, which I don't really use, but I can call up anytime and ask for anything I want.
And then they drop the line when you call or something.
No, generally the tech support's fairly decent.
Is there any reason in particular that you're not wanting to copy those files out into another file folder medium?
No.
That's a great question, by the way.
I'm not sure exactly. I haven't tried to do it. I haven't tried to do it because I haven't needed to do it. Because everything's been working up to this point. But
Now that you got
Until it
back in
doesn't.
again, now that you have access again, you might want to have a backup solution.
I haven't gone down that road. I haven't tried, so I can't give you the answer.
I would be happy to help you with that, Paul, if you're interested. If you're because it scares me when somebody has things stored. First of all, AOL is I worry that they may go out of business or just drop, kind of like Google, to Mike's point, there's some Google products like they had a great RSS reader, which they just stopped using. Some of their photo applications they've cut back on. I fear that something like that would happen with AOL, where they'll cut back on with the part that you're using, and the next thing you know, you don't have access to it and you can't get access to it.
Amazon has just said they're dropping their Amazon Drive
Right.
as of November something. And if you don't get your stuff off of Amazon Drive, you will no longer have access to it. So it would be very easy for AOL just to say, okay, for those people still using AOL Gold, you've got until such and so a date, and then it'll no longer be there. So I agree with Sean.
I've gone into the directory and the files and tried looking at them during this period of time for the first time. And it's not regular text. It's stuff that's unreadable and unrecognizable.
Yes,
You know?
like the old Microsoft formats for not Works. Microsoft Works is a good example.
Paul,
It's a unique format
Paul,
for
Back in the early days, you had to pay for AOL, and I just continued to do it because it's part of my wife's business. You know I can get it for free, but there's no, I guess there's no tech support, or, and it wasn't very expensive. So it was $10 a month, so I kind of just stayed with it.
Wow. So Paul, I would, and we'll get Forrest here in just a second, but I would be happy to do a screen share with you privately, and we can take a look at that and see, maybe I can figure out how to extract that data for you and get it into a folder on your desktop or something else. And then you maybe, in the long-term goal could be to just stop paying $10 a month to AOL.
The one thing I didn't realize is that there's two different areas to save emails. Okay, and one resides on your desktop and the other one resides on the AOL server. And I just happened to pick the one that's on my desktop just because, and that's where I'm putting all the stuff. If I had been putting it on the server, then I probably wouldn't have had this problem where I had to reinstall the data file because it would have come back with the server, So.
Well, the offer's there, Paul, if you'd like to.
Well,
Forrest, did you have something?
yes, I've had AOL since '98, and I've tried to change. I've had 3 checks over at my house different times. I have been told by probably a half a dozen or more people how to take it and how to get the stuff off AOL. I have found it is impossible. They have found it is impossible. It's embedded. The reason I wanted to get off, but is because I've got so much on there, but I can't get it off. The favorites, like Paul said, you save them on AOL or on your PC. That's emails. And you can get it for free, but all you get free with AOL is an AOL email address. That's all you get for free. You pay for the AOL. But the reason I have to stick with it is they have what they call favorites. And you click on the heart on something of a web page and you drag it over into favorites and it gives it a name, or you can change the name. It does not give the web address. It gives a name. So it's embedded. You would have to take each one of those, click on it onto your computer, copy the web address off, then copy that somewhere else. I have over 2,000 things with genealogy stored in favorites. I couldn't do it the rest of my life, and it's impossible to do so far.
I don't use favorites. I did 15 years ago, and they're still in there. But anytime I do any web browsing or searching, I'm always on Chrome or a browser separate. But I don't use. And AOL is not process hog. It's a resource hog. When I have AOL open and I want to open up a browser, you can almost forget it. You can just click on it and just stand there and watch the computer. There's a lot of throughput between the computer and AOL when you have it open.
I've never had that problem. I'm on it tonight, and I've got it on. I've got it on a PC in here too. I never had that problem.
probably because I'm using an older computer, an older desktop.
Well, I'm on a 13-year-old laptop. It has Windows 7 on it. My PC has Windows 10, but I have the AOL Gold on both. But we
Okay.
have tried, everybody that I know has tried to transfer it over, and they've almost lost everything. We got the AOL back to tech support, and they got me back going, and thank goodness everything is there.
I mean,
I won't ever try it again. So.
this is a nice desktop. It's a 2.6 gig processor with 8 gig of RAM. And it runs pretty nice, 64-bit operating system. And, but it, when I have AOL open, I tend to, I do it and then I close it and I do other stuff. But having it open, it slows everything down.
Well, I have it on one screen and I have 3 screens, and then I have a browser, different browser open on each screen, and it never has slowed me down. None of them do. It doesn't bother me.
Hey, Paul, next time you do that, after we're off the Zoom, run the task manager and see how far over 8 gigabytes of memory you're using on your computer. Because if you can, for a reasonably inexpensive price, just add another 8 or 16 gigs of memory to your machine, you might find you won't have those problems anymore.
Does AOL have an export capability?
From what everybody is saying, it doesn't look like it.
Not to my knowledge. Anything you click on is words. You click on that, and then it goes to the website. You would have to cut and paste the website to be able to get it. And for over 2,000 things, it's not worth it.
Yeah. You could probably convert all of those favorites into browser bookmarks one at a time. But you'd have to go through all 1,000 of them one by one.
Well, that's not worth my life to do that.
You guys are not alone. I know at least a half a dozen other people who years ago, AOL made it easy and convenient. They set up a file structure and you didn't know where it was going, but you could find it.
Yep.
And you get trapped. I know what you're saying.
I'll take you up on your offer, Sean.
One thing that you can do is look at OCR technology. If there are particular documents that are of importance that really you should get the text out of there at least. The new version of Windows PowerToys has a really nice screen OCR reader that can read text off a website, even inside a picture, and in non-text format, and do a really good job of grabbing that text. If there are important financial documents that you have in there, you might want to at least consider getting some of those out.
No financials are in AOL at all. It's mostly genealogy records and websites. Next.
Direct traffic standpoint.
Boy, I haven't heard AOL stories in quite some time.
I know. It's entertaining at the least.
Not many of us left.
I didn't know that they had a program still.
I thought they went out of business.
I have other emails. I've got a Gmail account, and I've got another email account. I guess it's the Spectrum. It used to be the Roadrunner account. I got one of those accounts. So but I don't use the Gmail really. I don't use the Spectrum account.
When I was working, I had 13 different emails for different countries and customers. But now I'm down to AOL, and I've got a Gmail, which I've never used. That's all I have now. So.
Well, that's different, because you get things. When I worked, I had one email. I had 2 email accounts because I had 2 organizations. But it's just you get used to that. I have 2 of them now. I got one in Hotmail, or 3. I have one in Gmail, one in Hotmail, and one through CFL. So I have multiple email sites too. And the other one is a good one, and the other 2 are junk. see somewhere else on the internet, probably. Well, some of the personal pictures, those are all up on the cloud. And other than that, you know, I don't have anything they can have. I don't believe in storing words on the computer, the keywords for logging on. Those are stored here only, and so I don't trust any of this stuff. One of the things that I did when I first retired was I got interested in wares, which is illegal software, breaking software, and going behind websites and finding out what they got. And find out that it wasn't all that difficult, and there were people who were on a thing called IRC, which is a different part of the internet, and on IRC who would be glad to teach you how to do that and show you how to do it. And so it was pretty easy, and I got nervous about being in some places when there did. Yeah, I quit doing it because it was just not something a reasonable man should be doing. But if you've got a password somewhere, it can be detected and it can be found out. You know, remember Urban Meyer? Nobody would forget him like that. But anyhow, he always used to tell you, well, you have to have a password that's 40 characters long, so they can't run it. But all computers, all systems to log in, after you try it 3 times, they shut you down. The only way you'd be able to do that is go behind their firewall and do it. And if you go behind their firewall, you probably don't need a password. So most of them, that's the way it works. Where I quit, but I quit doing that probably 22 years ago, right after I retired. So I've been retired almost 23 years. So it's, I bet you could still do it. And I can still break most software, but not all of it anymore because it's too much effort for me, the way they hide it and they spin it back through. And now with Adobe, they just rent it. And now Microsoft is starting to do the same thing. You rent the software from them and use it as much as you want. They'll upgrade it for you, take care of you really well, and you just pay them to do it. To me, it costs what, $350 to buy a copy of Photoshop, and you get it for $140, $150 a year. Anytime, I'll take that one. And you get the latest, greatest when it comes out. So I would advise that if you're interested in that sort of thing. And any of Adobe or any of the Microsoft software works out there. Nice, really nice. Oh, I got one other thing. Mine's easy. On the hurricane, lost power on the second day when the wind hit the highest. We hit just over 75 here. I recorded the rain. I actually set up a rain gauge and measured it. I had 23 inches rain at my property. 23 inches of rain. Now, we don't have any flooding where I live. Other people might have it, but that doesn't occur where I'm at. But we're on the whole knoll in Seminole County. But man, oh man, power went out second day. I went out and fired up the generator, and I turned off the power mains and connected the generator to the house. So everything works pretty much the same. It's just no air conditioning, and you have to be careful using the hot water. Other than that, it works the same. And since I have AT&T, my television doesn't go out. That was one of the things with the cable TV. When you lost power, you lost the TV. Now with AT&T, I got satellite. So as soon as the hurricane goes away and I get power, I get the hurricane back, or the video back. And I come up here and I was playing solitaire on the computer, and the modem has got a light on it that blinks off and on, and you're off the internet, and I looked over and it was on. So we were back on, power was on. Shut off the generator, turned back the main, and but something you have to be careful is, since I'm plugged into the 220 line, 240 lines from the generator, make sure that's disconnected before you go back on the main. Other than that, it works good. Not much of a story. Moved part of my fence down, same as Charlie did. And Charlie got my orange tree and my grapefruit tree. I didn't have one of those this time. down. It wasn't one of my shoes. Guy across the street lost the roof again. But it was a nice blow, and it worked out well for us at our end. That's my story of a hurricane. Pretty easy one. And thank goodness for grandkids and my children. They did a lot, but Dad can't do much anymore.
I've never had a
What do you think, Stan?
I'm going to just briefly mention something I talked about at the Tech for Senior on Monday. I've been using Hiron's emergency boot disc for a lot of years. And the last upgrade on that, I think, was maybe 5 years ago. Probably because an awful lot of it was bootleg in there. But that's an emergency boot disc that if your computer won't boot, for example, your operating system is messed up, you can boot from something like that. There are many of them out there. You boot from the emergency boot CD or a thumb drive, and then you can get into the hard drive and copy stuff off onto an external hard drive or another thumb drive, that kind of thing. So I came across this other thing called Sergey Strelec, Strelec. Refresh has been using it for years, and that's how I wound up getting it. It's a Windows 10 PE, a pre-operating. I don't know what the PE stands for. It's got Total Commander on there, which as far as transferring files to your external hard drives. But it really has a lot of stuff. The last version I think is 2021. It does also have a lot of bootleg stuff on there. So take care, Dick. Good seeing you. And I was very impressed. And I had a client who lives in Sweetwater. We met at the little Publix at the corner of Hunt Club. He saw I still have a sign on my car. And he's had 2 lightning strikes over the past few months, and they took out 2 different computers, his and his wife's. I got working on one of his machines and used the backup, the free backup that Mike, you and I have been using for a long time. And in the lightning strike, we discovered that the hard drive on that machine was bad, but we had this external hard drive, but that was old. It was a laptop hard drive in an external case using a USB cable that I had put the external, the backup drive on. And turned out we couldn't get at that. It was an older case. It was using a USB with the smaller one, but real thick, like they used to use on GPSs. And we took that apart and found that the hard drive was okay. It was the actual circuit board of that external hard drive that worked. And then the CD that we had for the backup wasn't working. And it turns out the Strelec in their backup system had a way to get at the backup copy that I'd made, the clone, and we were able to. This was at Refresh. The guy, they charged me $60 for a new 1 terabyte hard drive. We put it in his machine. They used their Strelec to discover that the drive was okay on that little external drive, and then to get all the data off of that backup that I had made on the laptop size hard drive. So he's been pretty happy with everything still working again. And by the way, an AOL user, and he's an ex-musician, used to play with some very famous people. He's a guitarist. He's very religious. Goes to church, plays guitar at church. He's very good with Photoshop. He's great graphics, but he doesn't understand the file system. Doesn't want to learn. Doesn't want to know the rest of the system. But he's another AOL story that if you can come up with a way, Sean, to take care of Paul's setup, I'd like to know how, because I know at least a half a dozen people that I think would be happy to get out from under.
Okay, question. I'll let you know about that. This Sergey Strelick CD, does it allow you to reset a Windows 10 password on a?
Yes.
Does okay. Is that pretty straightforward?
Yes. It's got hundreds of stuff in there. I was going to try to. I can't show you on this machine, and I've got another machine back here that I can run it on, but that got too complicated, especially since I was out all afternoon.
I've used the Hirons.
Right?
I've used the Hirons for the window password. So but it isn't very straightforward, Sean. You really got to maneuver the menu. So I'd like to see what the Strelick one does to get rid of a Windows password and change it. See if it's any better.
Put me down for that. You're gonna go put that in the report.
Stan, does the Sergey's does that actually show you what the password is, or only allow you to change it?
I haven't used it on the Sergey. I used it on the Hirons, and Mike, I kind of agree with you. It wasn't. There were probably 3 or 4 different ways to do it, and you could get confused in what was working, but I always was able to actually change the hard drive. It gave you several options of where the
the locations on the disk where the password's located.
I'll put something into the chat now, and I'll put it onto the TechSIG later for the.
If we were meeting in person, that would be an ideal thing to connect a computer to the, to the projector and then boot from Hirons and then go into the password. It's very hard to capture in a session like this and have Zoom running and be able to get it. Probably have to set up a camera on a tripod and have the screen of the computer that you're working on.
Yeah, I just put the link to the Sergey software in the chat.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Sean, are you gonna put that in the list?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
When I send the video to Stan, I'll also send the chat so that both of those can be published.
Okay. Anybody else got more they want to bring up?
Yeah, I got a question. I got 5 gigabytes that I pay for on Apple, and I back stuff up there, but to tell you the truth, I've never taken anything off of it. Is that hard to get into your files and look at them?
What kind of files?
I just pay for the backup, and supposedly everything that I do on my computer gets backed up to that file. I mean, I got
No.
Huh?
I don't think so. And I don't think it's 5 gigabytes. I think it's 50. Is it 99 cents a month?
Mine's $3.
$3 a month? Okay, so that's probably more. That's probably more like 200 gigs.
My wife pays $1 a month for 50 gigs.
Yeah. So I think it's I think you get 200 gigs for $3 a month. You have to make sure that's turned on, Tom, in your settings within. If you're talking about your computer, you need to make sure you go into Apple menu, System Preferences, and then in your iCloud settings, you need to make sure that your desktop documents and pictures are synced to iCloud.
Okay, well, I thought I had all that turned on, but I guess I better check it. But if I got it on one computer, it ought to. I mean, all my computers are connected, so that anything I do in one, I get on the other one. So
That is the case. Like if you save a file on your desktop on your computer in the shop and then you go in the house, it shows up on the one in the house?
Right, right.
Okay, then it is turned on.
And all my, I got 3 iPads, and they're all seem to have all the files on them too.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like you do have it turned on. And to get to the data, you can obviously just go to a computer, but you can also go into iCloud.com and go into files, and you can access them there.
Okay, I like to have a little more storage and take everything I got a lot of stuff on Google because I use their spreadsheets and their word processor, and I copy a lot of my important papers on there. And I like to switch all that to Apple. I've been trying to learn how to use uh, Apple spreadsheet and word processor because I never really use it too much. But I did do my taxes this year with the Apple spreadsheet, just trying to learn how to use it. So I got so I could do some stuff on it. But you know, I worked with Windows for years, so it's hard to. And I worked with Google for a long while, so it's not the easiest thing to switch over. But you got a basic understanding, but it don't work exactly the same.
Right. Anything else? Anybody?
Tech for Senior tomorrow at noon. Just a reminder.
What's tomorrow at noon?
Tomorrow at noon, Tech for Senior. You can go to Tech for Senior, not with an S.com, and get the link to get onto it. It's a Zoom conference.
That's Thursday.
That was yesterday.
Wait a minute, I'm all messed up. What is today? Today's Tuesday.
Today's
Sorry.
Tuesday, so
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Tech for Senior is Monday and Thursday. But
Monday
Tech
and
for
Thursday.
Senior-
Thursday they stream live on YouTube. So the link to that, if you go to the Tech for Senior website, the link for the live streaming is there. Sorry.
I had an interesting, so much stuff has broke in the last few weeks with me. But one interesting repair I did was on my alarm system for the house. The backup battery went bad. I pushed the test one day, the green light didn't come on, the battery went bad. And it bothered me why it went bad. Shouldn't have gone bad. And so I ordered a new battery. You know, I got the new battery.
You froze. Paul.
We lost him.
Yeah.
To be continued.
We were all on the edge of our seats.
Must be his
He's frozen
AOL.
up.
Yeah, to say well.
And I'm shorting this story because I know you guys don't like long stories. What's that?
We missed the last. Never mind. We heard it all.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Keep going.
Now you're locking up, Paul. Save it for the next one.
Yeah, write it down in a note somewhere and throw it away.
Am I good somewhere?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Store it on your
Anyway.
AOL favorites.
So I'm putting in this battery, and I noticed the voltage. I was measuring it with a voltmeter, and the voltage is not going up. I'm thinking like it's not charging. So to make a long story short, I get the schematic out, and they've got a charging board, and I ended up finding a bad electrolytic capacitor, which actually is sitting right here on my desktop. It's a 470 mic at 35 volts. And
This is inside of your UPS?
no, this is inside of my burglar alarm for the house, my house alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why the battery went bad. It wasn't being charged. Probably just stopped charging one day and it just decayed down and it was not
You froze again.
recoverable. So anyway, I'm fixed. And the voltage only went up very slightly, but it did go up after I put the capacitor in. So I think I'm good to go.
Good.
just another little story I got. I'll save the rest.
There you go. I got a new one. They came and run fiber down my street. Yes, this was 2 weeks ago. So maybe I'll have fiber here shortly. I'm already, it's AT&T, and I already got AT&T.
It's only $50 a month. It's worth it, Ken.
So I'll certainly pay that.
And don't go directly to AT&T or call them, okay? Go online, look for the offers. I got immediately offered a $100 gift card for signing up. And when I went to leave the website without signing up, they offered me another $50 gift card. So I went back and I got a $150 gift card. I was going to call them anyway. So.
And you're locked in for a year, right? It's a contract.
No contracts with fiber. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't mean they won't change the rates, but no contract.
Yeah, I got to get 2 phones with mine, so that'll be more money.
Okay, let me stop the recording.